Hey everyone, how's it going? Azren, the language nerd here. I hope you're doing very, very well. Welcome to episode number 2 of Azren's journal. I know in the last episode I said that I would be calling this Azren's language journal, but I'm going to change the name and make it a little bit shorter and just make it Azren's journal to simplify things. For the people who are new to this segment, essentially what this is a bit of a recurring show, I guess you could say, on my channel, where I share a lot of the language studies that I'm doing and share a lot of advice and a lot of the learnings that are coming from my own personal foreign language study. Essentially, there's going to be 2 segments to the show. Segment 1 is just personal life updates, things that are new with my family, with my work, with friends, with whatever. And then the second segment is all about the language learning side. How are things going? What am I working towards? What am I struggling with? What advice do I have? Etc. I have a lot of stuff I want to share today, so let's jump right in. On the personal side of things, the biggest thing that I'm really happy about right now is just how disciplined I've been on a day-to-day basis. Essentially, I think I shared this in the last episode. Ever since my classes finished, which was, as of today, a little bit less than a week ago, as I'm recording this, I've been really focused on making sure that the things I'm working on a day-to-day basis are really the things that matter to me most. Another way to put it is essentially I'm just making sure that the things I'm working on are clearly connected or very directly tied to some kind of long-term goal or some kind of long-term thing that I'm trying to accomplish. So ultimately this discipline thing and making sure that this is what I do every single day, work towards this, work towards that, do this task because it ties into this goal, wake up on time, and just making sure that I'm really, I guess you could say, rigid with that has been a really big win for me personally in my life. On the language learning side, things are going pretty well so far. I've been consistent with the studying. I'm literally looking at my notebook right now. I've learned 25 new words in Mandarin, and that's been in about, whatever that's been, less than a week. I would say like a few days, which I am very proud of. On the Gujarati side, it's not going quite as well. I'm just flipping to the back of my book. It's literally been like 2 new words, and actually, to be really honest, even the 2 new words that are there, they're words that I'd studied in the past but I'd forgotten. So really, I guess you could say technically I'm at 0 words in Gujarati, and it's funny because the Gujarati side of things is a little bit more challenging for me, because I feel like there's a little bit of a lack of framework. You see, with Mandarin, I said it in the last episode, in Mandarin, I'm taking classes, I go to a weekly conversation club, I have a trip coming up, right? I listen to music in Mandarin, there's a what do you call it, a Chinese drama I'm watching on my phone. However, with the Gujarati side of things, it's not really the same situation. I don't know anyone else that's really studying Gujarati. There's not even that many people who are. There's not a culture or a big community of Gujarati learners. Like, I don't know I don't have friends and such in my city where I can speak to. There's no conversation clubs in my city. Like, it's really, I almost feel like I'm isolated and feel like I'm a little bit alone with the Gujarati side of things. And the ironic part about this whole thing is that my family is Gujarati. Like, everybody's Gujarati, and a lot of them are, basically everyone, or a big percentage of people, speak Gujarati. And theoretically, one could make the argument that, hey Azren, speak with your family, use your family, leverage your family. But I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's a different dynamic. Like, family dynamic and language learning dynamic, they just don't mix in my brain for some reason or another. And I think a big learning point that I want to stress for the people watching this video here is, if possible, you've got to have some kind of framework that surrounds your language learning. Whether it's that you're studying with other learners in a language class, whether it's that you're part of online communities, whether it's that you're following an online program and you feel like you're really connected to the language. You have to do something that helps you feel connected, right? Connected to the language. And often, not for everyone, but I would say for a good percentage of people, it's worth actually figuring out how you can be connected with either other language learners who are going through a similar process as you, and or be connected and have a real relationship or friendship with advanced and or native speakers. There's a lot of value in that, and trying to go it alone, for a lot of people, not for everyone, but trying to go it alone can sometimes be a lot more challenging. A few different strategies you can use to be less alone or to be more connected to the language and have that framework, that environment that allows you to actually study more and be more motivated, focus more, get more out of your studies, etc. First of all, if you can find some local communities, that's the best option I find often, because then you have real life in physical, you can touch them, see them, real life people in your life that can essentially be there to help you, to motivate you. You can physically feel like you're part of a community. That's fantastic if possible. Then again, I realize that not every city is going to necessarily have that kind of community for every language. And so if you can't, online is a really good place to go. Whether you are part of an online community on Instagram, like you follow someone who makes content about the language that you are trying to learn, whether you find, I don't know, whether you're like, you watch a TV show or a series and you're part of the fandom of that show, right? And you are a fan of it and you communicate with other fans and you are part of like online fan clubs, there's a lot of different options, right? Whether you take online classes and your teacher becomes your friend, like there's a lot of options there. You can travel abroad, but ultimately this connection, I think for many people, I would say for the majority even, is a really, really big piece. Personally, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do on the Gujarati side of things, mostly because, I've already figured out the major priorities that I have in my life that I want to be focusing on. And for me to put myself in that Gujarati community, whether it's locally, because it does exist, or whether it's online or whatever I choose to do, it's gonna take time. And I've not fully sold myself right now, or I'm not fully convinced that putting time into that side of things, I'm not sure if that's really what I want to focus on right now. Because quite honestly, the major priorities I'm focused on, Mandarin is like definitely a really, really big priority right now. I would say my work life on the sales side of things, trying to increase the amount of money and revenue that my business is generating. A little project, I'm actually gonna mention it probably in a future video, but I'll give you a sneak peek now. I've essentially been working on a project where people can learn languages a lot faster with me because of how I've refined how I teach. And it's in the early testing phases right now and it's working extremely well. The best part of this whole project is I think that, assuming it works out and I'm right on my hypothesis of how I need to teach, people are gonna be able to learn languages a lot faster. And not only that, they're gonna be able to spend less money on their language learning in the long term. So it's a project I'll talk more about probably in future videos, but for the time being, that's your sneak peek. That's a really big priority and focus for me right now. Obviously, teaching people and teaching my students is a big priority. Like, there's a bunch of things that I'm focused on, and I, quite honestly, don't really want to drop any priorities right now to be able to create that extra space and time, both mentally and just physically, like how many hours you spend on it a day, to create or become a part of those kind of Gujarati communities. So anyway, I think we can wrap this video up there. Ultimately, it's doing really, really well with the studying. I'm really building that vocabulary. I'm watching these different dramas and series to continue building the vocabulary and keep growing and whatnot. It's exciting. I'm laser focused. And yeah, I guess we'll talk next time. Bye for now. See you.